Talon had always dreamed of exploring the unknown. When he received the mission to study the floating city above the storm clouds, he felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. As his small craft approached the city, he could see towering balconies jutting out from crystalline buildings. The clouds below swirled in endless shades of gray, lightning flickering like distant fireflies. The sight made his heart race. The city was alive with movement. Strange, elegant creatures moved with grace across the balconies, their hair and clothing flowing as the wind whipped past them. Talon stepped out of his craft, feeling the cold wind press against him, and carefully adjusted his jacket. He had to remind himself to breathe. The city was more beautiful and terrifying than anything he had imagined. "Welcome, human," a calm voice said. Talon turned quickly to see a young alien girl standing a few feet away. Her skin shimmered faintly in the storm light, and her eyes reflected the flashes of lightning in the clouds. There was something in her gaze that was both curious and cautious. "I'm Talon," he said, offering a polite bow. I'm here to study the storms." The girl's lips curved into a small smile. "I am Nira. You must be careful here. The storms are not just beautiful, they are dangerous." Talon nodded, though he could hardly hide his excitement. "I've studied storms all my life. I'm ready for the danger." Nira's eyes flicked toward the balcony edge. "Come this way. You will see why caution is necessary." As they walked along the narrow balcony, Talon noticed the city in greater detail. Buildings of shimmering crystal seemed almost to float, connected by bridges and smaller balconies. Below, clouds moved in waves, and lightning illuminated the storm in a rhythm that was both violent and mesmerizing. Talon tried to focus on his notebook, jotting observations, but he kept stealing glances at Nira. She moved with such grace, as if she was part of the storm itself. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind knocked Talon's tablet out of his hands. His heart skipped a beat as he lunged toward it. Without hesitation, Nira reached out and caught it effortlessly. "You must hold it tightly," she said softly, handing it back. "The wind is not forgiving here." Talon laughed nervously. "I'll remember that." "Thank you, Nira." For a moment, neither spoke. They stood on the balcony, the wind tugging at their clothes and hair, watching the storm roll beneath them. It was as if the world had shrunk to just the two of them, the clouds and lightning forming a private theater. Talon felt a strange warmth despite the cold wind. He realized he had never met anyone like Nira. She was fearless and calm, even when danger was so close. Nira's eyes softened. "Most humans would have panicked," she said. "You are brave, Talon, but also careful. That is unusual." Talon smiled. "I guess I learned a little from stories about explorers who faced storms on their own world. But I must admit, it is easier when someone like you is nearby." Nira looked at him for a long moment. A faint blush touched her cheeks, though the wind carried it away quickly. "Perhaps," she said quietly, "we can teach each other something." As they continued walking along the balcony, Talon felt a new kind of excitement. The storms below were dangerous, yes, but he realized that the real adventure might be learning more about Nira, about her world, and about the strange connection forming between them. The clouds rumbled and lightning flashed, but for the first time, Talon didn't feel fear, he felt anticipation. By the time they returned to the landing area of the city, the sun was beginning to peek through the storm clouds, casting a golden glow on the crystal buildings. Talon looked at Nira and realized that he wanted to explore not just the city, but the mysteries of her heart as well. For now, the storm was still strong, the wind still wild, but Talon knew that this was only the beginning of a journey that would change him forever. And somewhere deep inside, he felt that Nero was feeling the same way. The morning after his arrival, Talon found himself standing on another balcony, the wind whipping at his hair and clothes. The city below was alive with movement, and clouds swirled like great rivers of silver and gray. Nira appeared beside him, her steps light and effortless despite the uneven surface. "Today, you will learn to walk safely along the balconies," she said. Her voice was calm, but there was a spark of mischief in her eyes. "Even the strongest humans can fall if they are careless." Talon laughed. "I think I can manage." But inside, his heart raced. The balconies were narrow, and the winds were stronger than he expected. Still, he trusted Nira completely. They started slowly. Nira moved first, her feet landing with precision. Talon followed, trying to match her steps, his hands gripping the railings tightly. The wind pushed against him, making his progress difficult, but Nira stayed close, guiding him whenever he stumbled. "You are doing well," she said. "But do not look down. The clouds will make you dizzy." Talon obeyed, focusing on Nira's movements. He realized how graceful she was, moving with the rhythm of the storm. Watching her, he felt both admiration and a strange sense of calm. Even with the danger surrounding them, being near her made the storm feel less threatening. After a few minutes, Nira stopped and pointed toward a small balcony that jutted further out than the others. "From here, you can see the full power of the storm," she said. "But you must be careful. A single misstep can be dangerous." Talon nodded. He stepped forward, feeling the wind tug at his clothes and hair. The clouds below churned violently, and occasional lightning lit the sky. He had studied storms on Earth, but nothing had prepared him for this. Nira stood beside him, her hand brushing his for a brief moment as she adjusted her balance. The touch was fleeting, but it sent a small warmth through Talon's chest. He looked at her, realizing how much he wanted to protect her, even though she seemed so strong on her own. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Nira asked, her eyes reflecting the lightning below. "It is," Talon admitted. "But also, terrifying." Nira laughed softly. "That is the way of storms. They can be frightening, but they are also full of life and energy. Humans forget that sometimes." As they watched, a sudden gust of wind swept across the balcony. Talon stumbled, and Nira's hand shot out to steady him. Their fingers touched, lingering just a moment longer than necessary. Talon felt a rush of emotion he had never expected. It was strange to feel so connected to someone so quickly, yet he could not deny it. "You must learn to move with the wind, not against it," Nira said, her voice gentle. "The storm can be a friend if you respect it." Talon nodded, trying to steady his breathing. I think I understand now." For the next hour, they practiced moving along the balconies, Nira giving instructions and Talon learning quickly. Each time he faltered, she was there to guide him. Each time he succeeded, she smiled, and his confidence grew. Slowly, he began to feel a part of this strange, storm-filled world. When they finally paused, Nero led him to a corner of the balcony that overlooked the deepest clouds. Lightning flashed in the distance, illuminating the swirling mass below. Talon felt awe, mixed with exhilaration. He could see why Nero loved this place so much. "You are improving fast," Nero said. "I did not think a human could adapt so quickly." Talon smiled. "I have a good teacher." Nero's eyes softened. "Perhaps," she said quietly, I have a good student. For a long moment, they stood together in silence, watching the storm below. Talon felt something stirring deep inside him, a feeling he could not name, but it made his heart beat faster. He realized that the danger, the beauty, and Nira's presence were all part of something more powerful than the storm itself. As the wind began to die down slightly, Nira looked at him and nodded. We should return. There is much more for you to learn tomorrow. Talon hesitated, not wanting the moment to end. I look forward to it, he said. Nira smiled, a hint of warmth in her expression. As do I, Talon. As do I. Together, they made their way back toward the city, each step bringing Talon closer to understanding the storms, the balconies, and the mysterious, brave alien girl who had captured his attention in ways he could not yet explain. The following day, Talon awoke with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Today, Nira had promised to show him something special, a part of the city few outsiders ever saw. When he stepped onto the balcony, she was already waiting, her hair moving like a soft flame in the wind. Good morning, Talon, she said, smiling. Are you ready to see a secret? Talon nodded eagerly. I am ready. She led him along winding balconies, past crystal buildings and bridges that shimmered in the morning light. The clouds below were calmer today, rolling like gentle waves, though distant flashes of lightning hinted at the storm's restless energy. Talon followed closely, careful not to lose his footing. Finally, they stopped in front of a balcony tucked behind a cluster of tall buildings. Unlike the others, this one was quiet, almost hidden. Nira glanced around, then whispered, "No one comes here without permission. It is a place of power." Talon looked at her curiously. A place of power? Nira nodded. Yes. There is something I must show you, but you must promise to keep it secret. It is not safe for outsiders to know. Talon's heart raced. You have my word. She stepped forward, raising her hand slightly. A gentle pulse of wind rose around her, soft at first, then stronger. The clouds below swirled, reacting to her movements as if the storm itself were alive. Talon watched in amazement. He had read about weather manipulation, but he had never seen it in action. The way she controlled the wind was beautiful and effortless, like a dance with nature. You can do this? He asked, awe in his voice. Nira nodded, her eyes serious. Yes, but it is forbidden to use it freely. My people fear what outsiders might do if they knew. That is why I only practice in secret. Talon felt a deep respect for her courage. It's incredible, he said. And I understand why you are careful. For several minutes, they stood together, watching Nira move with the storm. The wind swirled around them, yet she seemed untouched by it, calm and confident. Talon felt both admiration and something more, an attraction that went beyond simple fascination. He realized he had never met anyone so brave, so connected to the world around her. Finally, Nira lowered her hands. The wind settled, and the clouds returned to their normal motion. She turned to Talon, her expression softer. I trust you because you respect this world. Most humans would rush in without care, but you watch and learn. Talon swallowed, feeling the warmth of her words. I do respect it. And I want to understand you too, Nira. For a moment, the air between them was still. The only sound was the soft rustle of the clouds and distant rumbles of lightning. Talon felt his chest tighten. He wanted to say more, but words failed him. Nira, sensing his hesitation, simply reached out and touched his arm lightly. "You are different from the others," she said quietly. "You see not just the storm, but what lies beneath it. That is rare." Talon looked into her eyes and realized that she was not only talking about the storm. There was a hint of meaning in her words that made his heart race. He wanted to tell her how he felt, but he feared breaking the fragile connection they had built. Instead, he nodded, letting her words settle in his mind. They remained on the balcony for some time, talking quietly about their worlds, their dreams, and the storms. Talon learned about Nira's childhood, how she had always been fascinated by the clouds and the winds. Nira learned about Talon's human home, and how he had longed for adventure and discovery. Each story brought them closer, building trust and understanding. As the sun began to dip behind distant clouds, casting golden light over the city, Talon realized he did not want this day to end. He wanted to stay with Nira, to explore not just the city, but the connection between them. Nira, too, seemed reluctant to break the moment, her eyes reflecting both the fading light and the lingering storm within her. Finally, she spoke. "We should return. The city is safer at night, and you must rest for tomorrow." Talon nodded, though a part of him resisted. "Yes, but thank you, Nira. For showing me this. For trusting me." Her smile was gentle. "You have earned it, Talon. Remember, the storm is powerful, but so is friendship, and perhaps more." As they walked back along the balcony, Talon felt something stirring inside him, something stronger than admiration, something like the beginning of love. He glanced at Nira, and though she looked calm, he sensed she felt it too. The secret of the storm was theirs alone, a bond that could grow only in trust, respect, and courage. And high above the clouds, the storm watched silently, as if approving of the connection forming between the human and the alien girl on its balconies. The day of the Festival of Winds arrived with a sky full of restless clouds. The city above the storms was alive with excitement. Balconies were decorated with shimmering banners that swayed in the strong winds, and residents moved with energy, preparing for the celebration. Talon could feel the power of the storm in the air, buzzing against his skin like electricity. Nira met him at the edge of his lodging balcony, her eyes bright with anticipation. "Today is one of the most important days for our city," she said. "You must stay close and follow my guidance. The wind will be stronger than ever." Talon nodded. "I will. I don't want to ruin anything." She smiled softly. "I trust you. Come, I will show you the way." They moved through the city carefully. Nero led Talon along narrow walkways and high balconies, explaining the festival customs. "The Festival of Winds honors the storms that give life to our city," she said. "We celebrate by dancing and moving with the wind, not against it. Those who respect it will be safe and honored." Talon watched the people as they performed graceful movements, leaping and twirling as if the storm were a partner in their dance. He marveled at their control. It was mesmerizing. He had never seen humans or aliens move in such harmony with nature. Finally, Nira guided him to a balcony high above the city, one that jutted into the clouds. Lightning flashed across the sky, and the wind roared, stronger than anything Talon had experienced before. He held onto the railing tightly, feeling the thrill of danger and beauty all at once. "You can do this," Nira said, standing beside him. "But remember, move with the wind, not against it. Let it carry you." Talon took a deep breath and stepped forward. The wind pushed him, but he let it guide him. Nira matched his movements, their hands brushing occasionally. Every touch sent a spark through him, and he noticed Nira seemed to feel it too, though she tried to focus on the dance. As they moved, Talon began to feel a rhythm, a connection not just to the storm, but to Nira. They were moving as one, almost without speaking, their trust in each other unspoken but clear. The storm became a partner to their bond, surrounding them with energy and excitement. Suddenly, a stronger gust of wind threatened to push Talon off balance. Without thinking, Nira grabbed his hand and held it tightly. The wind roared around them, but their hands stayed connected. Talon realized then how much he cared for her. She was more than a guide or a friend, she was someone he wanted to protect, someone he wanted to be near. "You are brave," Nira said, her voice almost lost in the wind, but her eyes met his. "And careful. That makes you strong." Talon smiled. "Not as strong as you. You move like the storm itself." They shared a look that lingered longer than usual. Neither needed words. The storm, the balcony, and the festival created a moment all their own. Talon's heart pounded as he realized how close they had become, and Nira's expression softened in a way that made the world seem calmer despite the roaring wind. For the rest of the festival, they moved together, stepping lightly, leaping carefully, and laughing as the storm nudged them. Talon felt exhilaration and a sense of belonging he had never known before. The city, the storm, and Nira had become part of him. As the sun dipped behind distant clouds, casting golden streaks across the storm, Nira turned to Talon. "You did very well today," she said. "Most outsiders could not have kept up. You respected the wind, and you respected me." Talon's chest warmed. "I couldn't have done it without you." Her smile was quiet, full of meaning. "Perhaps, we are learning from each other," she said softly. For a moment, they stood side by side, hands still almost touching. The storm had calmed slightly, leaving only the sound of distant thunder. Talon felt a connection that went beyond friendship, beyond admiration. He wanted to tell her how he felt, but the words stayed in his throat. Nira glanced at him, as if she understood his thoughts. She offered her hand for a moment, and Talon took it. The simple touch spoke volumes, and for the first time, Talon felt the possibility of something more, a bond that could survive the storm, a passion growing quietly but powerfully. As they walked back toward the city, the wind still brushing against them, Talon realized the Festival of Winds had given him more than a lesson in movement. It had given him a glimpse of something magical, something that connected him to Nira in ways he could not yet name. And high above the storm clouds, the city shimmered in the fading light, watching silently as the human and the alien girl discovered a bond that promised more than friendship, a bond that could weather any storm. The day after the Festival of Winds, the city above the storms was quieter. The strong wind still whispered along the balconies, but the energy of celebration had faded, leaving a calm tension in the air. Talon and Nira were walking together, exploring a part of the city closer to the center, where strange machines hummed and glowed with energy. "This is one of the oldest parts of the city," Nira explained. "Some of these devices help control the storms. They are powerful, but they must be carefully maintained." Talon's curiosity piqued. "Do they control all the storms in the city?" "Not all," Nira said. "But they help balance the stronger ones. If they malfunction, the results can be dangerous." As they moved closer to one of the larger machines, a sudden alarm blared. Lights flashed red across the control panels, and a low rumble of warning echoed through the balcony. Talon froze. "What is happening?" he asked, fear rising in his chest. Nira's eyes narrowed. "A machine is malfunctioning. If we do not act quickly, it could disrupt the storms above the city." We must stabilize it. Without hesitation, Nira guided Talon to a control panel. Follow my instructions carefully, she said. The wind is strong, and the balance is delicate. If you make a mistake, it could make the storm worse. Talon nodded, his heart pounding. He had studied storms, but this was different. He was part of controlling one. He trusted Nira completely, and her calm presence gave him courage. For several tense minutes, they worked together. Nira's hands moved gracefully over the panels, adjusting energy flows with precision. Talon followed her instructions, pressing levers and turning knobs as she guided him. The storm above began to respond, the clouds swirling less violently, the lightning flashing more gently. At one point, a sudden gust of wind swept across the balcony, almost knocking Talon off balance. Nira's hand shot out to steady him, and their fingers brushed. Talon's chest tightened at the touch. In that moment, he realized how deeply he cared for her, how much he wanted to protect her. Nira's gaze met his, and for a brief second, the world seemed to pause, the storm, the machine, and the city all fading into the background. We must focus, Nira whispered, and he nodded quickly, forcing himself to concentrate. Together, they completed the adjustments. The machine stabilized, and the storm above began to calm. The clouds rolled gently now, and the wind softened. Talon exhaled, relief flooding through him. You did it, Nira said, smiling. We did it? Talon smiled back, still catching his breath. I couldn't have done it without you. Nira's expression softened. And I could not have done it without you. You remained calm when most would have panicked. That is rare for humans. Talon laughed softly, the tension finally leaving him. I guess we make a good team. Yes, Nira said, her voice gentle, we do. For a few moments, they simply stood together on the balcony, listening to the softer wind and watching the clouds settle. Talon realized that the experience had changed him. The danger, the trust, and the shared effort had created a connection stronger than he expected. He looked at Nira, noticing how her hair shone in the soft light, how her eyes reflected not just the clouds but a quiet strength and warmth. Thank you, he said quietly. Not just for helping with the machine, for trusting me. Nira's smile was soft, almost shy. Trust is earned, Talon. You earned it today. A moment of silence followed, but it was filled with meaning. Talon wanted to speak more, to tell her how he felt, but words failed him. Instead, he took a small step closer. Nira did not move away. Their proximity, the shared danger, and the relief after the storm created an unspoken understanding. Let's go back, Nira said, though her voice held a gentle warmth. You need rest, and I want to make sure you are safe. Talon nodded, feeling a mix of gratitude and longing. Yes, let's go. As they walked back along the balcony, the clouds below reflected the last streaks of sunlight. The city seemed calm, almost peaceful, but Talon knew that above the clouds, storms would always return. And he realized that no matter what storms came, he wanted to face them with Nira by his side. For now, they had survived together, trusted each other, and discovered a deeper bond. And in that quiet moment, high above the swirling clouds, something unspoken passed between them, a promise of courage, connection, and a growing affection that neither could ignore. The night after the storm machine incident, the city above the clouds was quiet. The usual hum of energy had softened, and only the gentle whispers of wind swept across the balconies. Talon found himself walking toward the highest balcony he had seen so far, where Nira had asked him to meet her. When he arrived, she was already there, standing at the edge and looking out over the clouds. Lightning flashed far in the distance, illuminating the storm's retreating power. Her hair moved gently in the breeze, and she seemed calm yet radiant. "Talon," she said softly as he approached. "I wanted to speak with you, alone." "I'm glad you asked me here," Talon said, trying to keep his voice steady. "There is something I want to tell you too." Nira turned to him, her eyes reflecting both curiosity and warmth. The night sky stretched endlessly above and below, the clouds glowing faintly with distant lightning. It felt as if they were the only two beings in the world. Talon began, his heart racing. "I admire you, Nira. More than anyone I have ever met. Your courage, your wisdom, the way you move with the storm. I feel connected to you in a way I cannot explain." Nira's eyes softened, and a small, almost shy smile appeared on her lips. I feel the same, Talon. You are brave, patient, and kind. You see me as I am, not just the storms or the city. That is rare." For a moment, they simply looked at each other, the wind swirling around them like a protective shield. Talon felt a surge of emotion, a mix of relief and joy. He had longed to tell her, and now the words were out, and she felt the same. "I have never felt like this before," Talon admitted. "It is as if everything, the storms, the city, you were waiting for me to understand it all. And for some reason, I understand it better when I am with you." Nira reached out, her hand hovering near his. "I feel that too. The storm is powerful, but it feels gentle when we are together. It is comforting." Encouraged by her words, Talon took her hand gently in his own. The touch was simple, but it carried meaning: trust, care, and the first stirrings of love. Nira held his hand, her grip steady, her eyes meeting his with quiet intensity. The wind swirled around them, playful and strong, yet it could not disturb the calm between them. Talon's heart pounded as he realized how much he wanted to be near her, to protect her, and to share more moments like this. Nira's eyes reflected the same feelings: bravery mixed with vulnerability, and a growing passion that was tender yet undeniable. "I was afraid to say anything," Nira admitted quietly. "I did not know if you would feel the same, or if my feelings would confuse you." "You don't need to be afraid," Talon said, his voice gentle. "I feel the same way. And I want us to explore this together." Nira nodded, a soft smile spreading across her face. "I would like that." They stood together in silence for a few moments, listening to the soft rhythm of the night wind and watching the fading storms below. Each flash of distant lightning seemed to highlight their connection, making the world around them feel magical. Talon realized that the city, the storms, and Nira had become part of him in a way he could not have imagined. Finally, he spoke again. "Will you walk with me?" "I will," Nira replied. They moved carefully along the balcony, hand in hand, feeling the wind guide them. The danger of the height and the power of the storm did not scare them anymore. Instead, it made their closeness feel more real, more alive. Each step they took together was a promise of trust, companionship, and the possibility of love. As they reached a quieter corner of the balcony, Talon looked at Nira and smiled. "Thank you, for trusting me, and for letting me be part of your world." Nira returned the smile, her eyes shining. "And thank you, Talon, for showing me that humans can be brave, kind, and strong. You have taught me much, about trust and heart." For the first time, Talon felt completely at peace. The storm above might always rage, but here, with Nira, he had found a calm that was real and lasting. And as they stood together, hand in hand, the connection between them became undeniable, a bond formed not just from adventure and trust, but from the quiet, growing passion of two hearts learning to beat together above the storms. The days after their confession were filled with a quiet happiness. Talon and Nira spent each morning exploring the city above the storms, their hands brushing often, their laughter echoing across the balconies. Every moment together strengthened the bond between them. Talon learned more about Nira's world, the way the city floated above the clouds, how the storm machines worked, and the ancient traditions of her people. Nira, in turn, listened to Talon's stories of Earth, of human ingenuity and curiosity. She found herself fascinated not just by his knowledge, but by his patience and kindness. Each lesson, each story, drew them closer. The storm that had once seemed wild and threatening now felt like a living companion to their connection, guiding them through adventures and quiet moments alike. One afternoon, Nero led Talon to the highest balcony in the city, a place few had ever visited. The wind was strong, but the view was breathtaking. Below them, clouds stretched endlessly, swirling and glowing with the soft light of the setting sun. "This is where I come when I need to think," Nira said softly. "It is peaceful here, and I feel free." Talon looked around, awe in his eyes. "It's incredible. I've never seen anything like it." Nira turned to him, her expression gentle. "And I want you to see it with me, not just as an explorer, but as someone who belongs here, with me." Talon's heart swelled. "I do belong here. With you." The words hung between them, simple yet powerful. Nira reached out, taking both of Talon's hands in hers. The wind tugged at them, but it could not separate them. Talon felt a sense of completeness he had never known. The city, the storms, and Nira herself had become part of his life in a way that was permanent and beautiful. Together, Nira whispered, her eyes shining. "We can face any storm. Together." Talon nodded, feeling the truth of her words in every fiber of his being. Together. They stood for a long moment, watching the clouds below glow with the light of the setting sun. Talon realized that the storms above were no longer something to fear. They were part of the world he now loved, part of the life he shared with Nira. The danger, the excitement, and the beauty of it all had led them to this point, and he would never forget it. As night fell, they moved down the balcony toward the city, hand in hand. The streets were quiet, the energy of the storm machines glowing softly like guiding stars. Residents moved gracefully through the city, some smiling at the sight of the human and alien walking together. Talon felt a sense of belonging, a quiet pride in being accepted not just as an outsider, but as someone important to Nira. They paused at a smaller balcony overlooking a calmer part of the clouds. The night sky sparkled with distant lightning and the soft glow of stars above. Talon turned to Nira. "I want to stay here," he said quietly. "Not just to study the storms, but to be with you. To learn from you and share this world." Nira's eyes softened, and she placed a hand on his cheek. "Then stay, Talon. This city, these storms, and we welcome you." For the first time, Talon felt completely at peace. The wind tugged at his clothes and hair, but he did not care. He was where he belonged, with Nira by his side, facing the storms together. They leaned against the railing, watching the clouds swirl below, and for a long time, neither spoke. Words were not necessary. The bond they shared was stronger than any speech, stronger than any fear. The adventures, the trust, and the confessions had all led to this perfect moment. Finally, Nira smiled. Shall we walk a little? The night is calm, and the storm is gentle. Talon took her hand, squeezing it gently. Yes. Let's walk together. They moved along the balcony, steps light and synchronized with the rhythm of the soft wind. Every glance, every touch, spoke of trust, respect, and love. Above the clouds, the city shimmered, the storm machines glowing softly, as if approving of the human and the alien who had discovered a bond that could withstand any storm. As they reached the edge of the balcony, Talon looked at Nira. Thank you, for everything. For trusting me, teaching me, and letting me share this world with you. Nira smiled warmly. And thank you, Talon, for being brave, kind, and patient. You have shown me that humans can be gentle and strong, curious and courageous. Together, we are stronger. Hand in hand, they watched the storm clouds below, the night sky above, and the city glowing around them. Their journey had begun with curiosity and courage, had grown through danger and trust, and now had blossomed into something lasting, an unspoken promise, a quiet passion, and the knowledge that together, they could face anything. Above the storms, high on the balconies of the floating city, Talon and Nira walked side by side, hearts aligned, ready for all the adventures the future would bring.